Good morning, everyone. So I have been thinking for a very long time about a lot of these issues, and I want to make the case this morning for optimism in the case of AI. And in the last year or so, I hope that you've been hearing a lot of doomsday around AI, how it's going to take all of our jobs, how AI is going to tell you what to do, how Skynet is coming, finally, for us. So let's unpack this a little bit. So first of all, what is optimism? And why should we make a case for it? Is optimism indeed, Voltaire coined the term in Candide as sort of ignoring all the warning signs and ignoring the true risks and the biases of having a tilt in the world powers, of ignoring that we might neglect the world of climate change that could be impacted? Or is optimism really hope in working for figuring out that we could actually use compute in a better way for our societies? So is the dangerous idea that we should be optimistic? Should we actually harness the positive good in AI and take these risks and actually look and cultivate them and use them in a way that we can cultivate a really positive outcome with these tools? So this is purposefully a word salad. So I'll not cover this in extent, but my career has been spent in privacy, governance, and AI. But I'll take you back even further to a world of robotics. When I was 18 years old, I walked to a billboard that had a little pink flyer with a robotic arm on it, and it was looking for volunteers for a scientific study at Ohio State University, teaching robotics and teaching science to a group of paraplegic children using a robotic arm, using an Apple IIe Plus on bespoke software code, and we would pick up beakers and we'd put yellow into blue and create green, and we'd use coded in BASIC, and somehow all of the children would figure out a bug in our code, and the machine would reset itself, and when an old Rico industrial compute robotic arm would reset, it would never just smoothly stop what it was doing. It would reset like this. And the beaker would break, and the glass would go everywhere, and the liquid would go everywhere. And everyone in the room who was a grown-up person would fly around because this was a $2 million robot and a big setup, and the code was wrong, and everything was terrible, except an 18-year-old girl looking into the face of a handicapped child who was laughing because that child was suddenly in control of his or her environment and was allowed to play because the human had taken over the technology, because the human was actually in charge for a change. It's the case for optimism in technology. So that experience has impacted my entire career. I became a patent litigator. I passed the bar, so don't be scared that AI can pass the bar. Anybody can do it. But the case for optimism in privacy, governance, ethics, and AI, my first boss, Scott McNeely at Sun Microsystems, famously said, "You have zero privacy, get over it." Privacy is dangerous. Privacy says that anyone should be an individual to tell their own story. Privacy says that you should be in control of your information and tell your own individualized story. Privacy is dangerous. Privacy is powerful. Data governance takes time. Data governance means that information about all of these collective individuals who are allowed to tell their own stories has to be respected, just like we respect currency. And collectively, that currency is powerful. So now we have two powerful chunks of things, data governance and individual power, collected stories together, creating into momentum. And now we have ethics. Oh my God. Ethics are getting in the way of this privacy get over it thing. What are ethics? Ethics always precede the law. Ethics tell the story that we decide to drive on the right in certain countries or drive on the left in other countries. Ethics tell the story of society. They always precede the law. They're squishy. They make engineers very uncomfortable. That's okay. They'll figure it out. So we're going to see these intersections, and they're beneficial because there is a way together to make the robotic arm pick up the beaker and put it down. And sometimes the glass will break. That's okay. So the case for optimism for the self is this right. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I on the right thing? I'm not. So here's the intersection. I think I told you the conflict. I got out of order there. I'm looking at the wrong slide. So the intersections of these common goals, the number one intersection is data. And this is why data is the currency. So where the intersectionality happens with governance and ethics and law and privacy begins and ends with data. So when we start to break down the actual functionality and then the logical steps in the activities that we take, we can actually start to look at the steps of looking at what is the code of law. Every law has a cadence and a story, and it's laid out in the definition section. Thou shalt do. This is the corpus of the thing that we must do. These are the steps we must take. These are the attestations. Every engineering functional step starts with a similar set of things. Here is the mechanism. Here is the way it works. Here's how we know that it's done. When we make these two things talk together, we can start to translate. And we can say, this is the thing that we've done. This is the attestation. Here is the bill of materials. And so we can actually see this intersectionality happening. And this is the basis of sort of watching the flow happen with intersectionality. So this is the case for optimism. When you actually look across these systems and you create a systematic flow of idea turning into instantiation, turning into proof. Now we're getting into it. So now when we look across the potential for conflict, and we've got our risk ledgers created across these various silos, we look at how are we going to instantiate the commonalities using what we know about the language of policy, the realities of technology, the realities of the people that need to instantiate the work. We remember that the individuals have the right to tell their own stories, and that is powerful. Why? Because the best companies have customers, employees. We forget that in business. Individual rights have always been explored by artists. Remember Hal, the computer? Sorry, Dave. Computer says no. We explore what the possibilities of no. See, I know who's old enough to have seen the Odyssey 2001 because they're giggling in the audience. It's a good movie. If you're young enough and you haven't seen it, you should go see it in the age of AI. But we need our artists. AI is the time of poetry. AI is the time of art. AI is the time to imagine really scary bad things before they actually happen. It's not a time for logic. It's time for play. It's time to watch systems. It's time to watch plants grow and ant hills happen. It's time to watch emergent systems happen, because this is how we figure out what's next and what's new. So the case for optimism also includes systems. Who here is familiar with IKEA and IKEA shopping? All right, if you've ever been to an IKEA shop, it's like being inside a web, like an actual website or trying to unsubscribe from any subscription. You can't leave. It's on purpose. Those meatballs, even if you're a vegan, they're delicious. They want your kids to play for a long time. You're in a goddamn magazine. You can't leave. It's curated. So remember how powerful that data is and how we want to tell our own stories? Why wouldn't we curate it? Why would we ever look at data as digital exhaust? Why wouldn't we curate our data experiences like an IKEA store? If we truly think that we want to amass the world's data, why wouldn't we attract it to us and treat it like an IKEA? It's a good question. We can integrate our design with privacy and ethics engineering. And by engineering, I don't simply mean mechanical and electrical engineering. I mean systems engineering. From the time the user experience happens and they look or smell, I would like to have smell-o-vision. When I want to call my doctor, I almost want to pick up my device and smell some alcohol. So I'm like, it smells like my doctor's office. Give me a haptic. All the way through to the end of the experience, and my data is truly deleted. We want to think about a data supply chain. I'm not done with the interaction until the data is truly destructed, and there's value in all of those data services across the data supply chain. The industrial age taught us about the benefit in efficient supply. Remember how afraid we were of Walmart back in the day? Think about the digital supply chain of data. There's innovation to be had across the Caribbean. There should be a data supply chain like no other. There's efficiency to be had. So privacy and quality are strategic enablers. I truly believe that these trillion-dollar companies are not trillion-dollar companies. I believe that they currently are simply not investing yet into the quality of these data experiences in the data supply chain. Now, will they eventually be truly trillion-dollar companies? Yes, probably. But are they really curating the data the way that they will be, they should be? I really don't think so yet. But can they? Yes. Now, selfishly, these are screenshots from my own company, PrivacyCode. We were cool before it was cool to be cool, privacycode.ai. And we actually have a very limited library. We use LLMs. We translate policies into tasks, and we actually measure step-by-step the data supply chain. I believe in data integrity. I believe in optimism because we know that we can. You have to work for quality. You have to want quality, and you have to value quality. And then leadership. I think it takes courage to be optimistic. It's very easy to go with the pack that says privacy's dead. Every time there's a new technology, people love to come and inform me that privacy's dead. Michelle, privacy's dead, get over it. If it's dead, it's the prettiest zombie ever. Privacy has come back to life again and again and again. It's like everyone, the minute you go to law school and you pass the bar, a billion people come up and go, you know what, I almost went to law school. Hate lawyers, hate them. I almost went to law school. Like, that's nice. Having Add your values together. Don't wish away privacy. Don't wish away a different life that you wish you had. Don't say something about a different field that you don't. Get curious. Get curious. I would never walk into a doctor's office and say, I wish that doctors don't exist. I did want to go to medical school. I almost blew up the chemistry lab. I am not a doctor. Every now and again I do Google and I say, doctor, obviously I'm dying of whatever I Googled. I'm not a doctor. So people that walk in and say privacy is dead, I laugh and I say, get curious. We have to live our values. If we value our individual stories, if we value our customers, if we value our children's futures, if we value the legacy of the people that are gone, the memories of our histories, why wouldn't we work for privacy? Why wouldn't we optimistically embrace the future of AI? It's so obvious to me that there's a case to be made to optimistically, enthusiastically throw ourselves into the future of AI. So fostering this culture of empathetic and cultural sensitivity, of privacy, safety, quality, and ethics is going to take work, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of picking, in my case, a Western ethics, individualized ethic. When I travel to the Far East, they have a very different point of view of a collective view of the we versus the me. How do we design our systems to respect our very diverse point of view of cultural difference? How do we understand what safety means in a world that is as divided as our world is? We're going to have to get very uncomfortable. We're going to have some hard, grown-up discussions without throwing things at each other to understand what is the common nature of respect that we have for humanity, because the issues are that important as we build this digital highway that's going to surround the whole globe. It's not going to be grounded in a state. It's not going to be grounded in a country. It's not going to be grounded in an island. So we're going to have to foster this new dialogue, and this is why the artists are so important, because they make those discussions so much easier. So this is why we really have to have this common dialogue, and sometimes we have to just embrace math, because ones are ones and zeros are zeros. But it's going to be really important to have this hard conversations that we're going to need to continue to have. Now, I purposely pulled this off of, I think I used ChatGPT for this one. And I think that another good example is yesterday morning I tried to listen to the talks using the Google Translate, and it was absolute garbage. Thank you to our translators in the booth. You guys are awesome. Because I listened to you yesterday, and I understood what was being said, because these humans are awesome. The technology has not yet caught up with these people. This is garbage. It's not right yet. The sentences, the words are wrong, but it's getting there. So be prepared to throw yourself into the world where some stuff is a little bit messed up, it's a little bit wrong, but try. So I will leave you with that messy picture. Data is our planetary DNA. It's what we've got now. We're not going back. It's here. So embrace it, love it, play with it, have fun with it, and at least don't mess it up. Thank you very much.